Oh, okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone. I will officially open, and I'm hearing an echo. Will officially. Good. There you go. All right, now I'll officially open the Executive and Legislative Nominations Committee meetings public hearing for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024 to order. We have four items on the agenda today: two Senate resolutions for review, two House resolutions for review. So let's get right to it. There are some of my colleagues that obviously are going to be joining us as committee meetings are happening all over the place, and we have a few online as well. So let's start with item number one, which is a Senate resolution for review. The Honorable Owen P. Egan of West Hartford to be reappointed as a member of the chair and the chairperson of the Freedom of Information Commission. Judge Egan? Good morning. If you can if you can press a little red button there, and you can do me a favor and raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Wonderful. Judge, the floor is yours for any opening remarks you might have.
Thank you. And thank you very much for taking me first. I really appreciate it. I have a heavy court schedule today, so that's very helpful. Good morning, Chairman Duff and Concepcion, Vice Chairman Looney and Godfrey, ranking members Yacarino and Kelly, and distinguished members of the Executive Nominations Committee. My name is Owen Egan, and I am honored to be nominated by Governor Ned Lamont to the Freedom of Information Commission. I am also honored to appear before you. Thank you. Attached is a copy of my resume. I think you have that, and I'll be brief. I'm a lifelong resident of West Hartford, where my wonderful wife, Judy, and I raised our three children, one of which has returned with a beautiful grandchild. She and her husband are right down the road from us. I'm a graduate of Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut, Georgetown University Law School in Washington, D.C. After graduating from law school, I came back to Connecticut to begin my career as a lawyer. I have practiced in this state for 38 years, 35 of which has been in West Hartford. I am a trial lawyer and a general practitioner, currently concentrating on probate and estate planning and real estate. I am also the West Hartford probate judge, and I have served the town in that capacity since 2016. I have appeared on behalf of many clients in numerous courts, including probate court, Connecticut Superior Court, the Connecticut Appellate Court, the Federal District Court, and the Second Circuit Court located in New York. I have also acted as an arbitrator and a mediator in various civil matters. I served on the West Hartford Town Council for 2 terms. During my second term, I served as deputy mayor and as chairman of the Public Safety Committee. I was first appointed to the Freedom of Information Commission in 2009. It's hard to believe. I completed the term of Vincent Russo. I was reappointed by Governor Malloy in 2011. In 2013, Governor Malloy appointed me as chairman of the commission. I have continued to serve as chairman since that time, having been reappointed to the commission by Governor Malloy in 2015 and by Governor Lamont in 2019. My fellow commissioners and I, as well as our staff, are dedicated to administering and enforcing the Freedom of Information Act fairly, without bias, in the public interest. Transparency in government is important to us all. In my opinion, open government is as valuable as the right to freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to assemble, or the right to petition government. If appointed, I will be proud to continue my service to the state of Connecticut as the Commissioner on the Freedom of Information Commission. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Judge, thank you very much
Thank you.
for being here, taking the time to be with us this morning, and congratulations on your renomination. And thanks again for everything you've done so far and your willingness to continue to serve on the commission.
Thank you.
Can you just, I know you've been chair since 2013, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you just walk us through what a typical commission meeting might look like? How many cases you all deal with on a, per meeting?
We meet twice a month. We probably have between, I would say, 5 and 10, sometimes 12 cases that we hear. And obviously we hear what the hearing officers have presented to us for decision. So we're almost like an appellate body, but we listen to the arguments on both sides.
And
then we ultimately render a decision.
is it, oh, that was my next question. Is a decision made usually at that point of the meeting?
Right. The hearing officer makes a recommendation. So the hearing officer really acts as boots on the ground, and they are really the trial judge, and they tell us what they've heard, what facts that they feel that are established, and then they write a decision, and they ask for us to approve that decision.
Just a few other questions before I open it up to other members here. I know that there's 9 current members, 4 of whom we are going to speak to with today, which is great. One of
They're
the
right behind me.
yes,
They're all wonderful. We have a great commission,
that's
a
great. Well,
great variety of people, and it really helps to have that.
and that was actually one of my questions, was because I saw, the diversity of professions that make up the 9 members, right? We'll speak to some former journalists today, lobbyists, obviously yourself. What do you see as the importance of that, diversification of a commission like that, and what it brings value to the opinions that are made?
Well, everyone has to apply the law as it comes before us, and they have to apply the law to the facts. But I think having those different perspectives helps us all understand better what decision we should be making. They do an excellent job. The lawyers sometimes they're wonderful, but sometimes they can be boring. You want to hear from somebody who is out there doing something else that has some other information. But no, it's a great group of people, and we're very lucky to have such a diverse group.
Well, I appreciate it. One last question. I might have some others, but just curious to hear what COVID has done to the commission. You've been there both pre and post COVID. There's some positives that have come out of COVID, meaning technology and the use of technology. Has that helped? Has it aided? What has it done to the commission in kind of a variety of issues?
COVID affected us all. I'm a person who likes to see people. I like to be with people. I think you as an adjudicator gain more knowledge from seeing someone. Body language tells you a lot. It's very important. But I do think COVID helped us in some ways. Number one, all our meetings are recorded. Before people had to request a recording, so all our meetings are recorded. So we have that done away with, where you have to request for the recording, and it's there for you, and it's available for you if you need it. We also allow people to attend who aren't able to get to the meeting. They can attend by phone, or they can attend by watching, and so that's very helpful, I think, for people to do that. So we take a roll call now of every person who votes, so people know who's voting and when they're voting. So some good things came out of COVID, and it's been very helpful. But I personally didn't like having meetings done by phone or not in person. In person is so much more valuable to the public, I think.
I agree. Well, Judge, thank you very much for your responses to my question.
Questions.
Of course. With that, I'll open it up to committee members. Chairman Duff.
Thank you, and good morning, sir. Thank you for continuing on the process of being on the FOIC Commission. It's an important one for sure. Two questions for you. One is, there's kind of, there's the kind of the, sort I'm looking for it, the tension, I guess, of two different areas. One is where you have people who constantly put in FOI requests to the point of where it undermines the law that we have. And I'd like to hear you speak on that a little bit. And then second is, we've seen some municipalities across the state who are intentionally, or maybe even agencies in the state, but I think it's more municipalities at the moment, that are purposely putting in roadblocks from getting information to folks that's legally obligated, creating frustration for the public. So there's kind of the some who do the vexatious FOIC requests, and then the other is where you have municipalities or others who are kind of flagrantly violating the law by not providing information in a timely manner. I was wondering if you can speak on that based on your experience.
You walk a fine line. It's a delicate balance when you're trying to be transparent and allow people to come before the commission and address issues that they have. But like anything, people can abuse that right. And then when they abuse their rights, they take away commission's time from others who have claims and issues that need to be heard. So I think I know who you're referring to. There are a few individuals that we've chosen not to schedule their hearings, which has upset them. But they are vexatious requests, and they're so numerous. You know, they can be 400 and 500 requests that they take away from everyone else's opportunity to have a chance to speak before the commission and gain information. But we have to be mindful that everybody has a right to be there, and they may be there a few times in a year. And so you are trying to balance those two things. But we've addressed that vexatious issue by just not scheduling those hearings if they're vexatious claims. And then that issue has been appealed, and we had a recent decision from the Superior Court, judge in the Superior Court, who indicated that we were accurate in not scheduling that hearing. And then the
Second question is on the side of where the public's not getting the information that they should lawfully be getting from municipalities or other agencies because of delay, which has been in the news, especially last year, where a community is kind of held off on getting information 2-3 years, and it's inhibiting the public's right to know.
That's why people come to the commission and ask for our help. So we should be addressing that, and we attempt to address that in a timely manner. But yeah, I know there are delays in
Yeah, and you don't have a whole lot of power to be able to insist that if it's a municipality or somebody else that they comply with and adhere to the law as it stands.
That's correct. We can assess some fines, and we gain that power from the legislature.
Right.
So if the fines are increased, I suppose that could be more of a penalty that would induce the disclosure of records in a timely manner. But I think we do our best to address that.
Got it. Thank you very much, and thanks for your service.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chairman
Chairman.
Duff.
Thank you. Representative Yakarino, followed by Representative Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Egan, for serving and volunteering and being here this afternoon or this morning. I do have a couple questions. I think it's an important commission for information. So since 2013, so this past year, 2023, have you seen a greater need or a greater asking for for freedom of information from folks, from individuals, municipalities, and even against public officials? A greater amount of cases.
Number of cases. I think the flow has been steady. I think we have staff here who probably could give you a better answer if you'd like us to get back to you on that. But I think the flow is fairly steady. As I said, it's probably between, say, 5 or 6 hearings that we do to a dozen, 10 to 12 hearings that we do each time we have a hearing.
And that's
So-
it for the whole year?
No,
No, it's got to,
no, each meeting. Each meeting. We have
so-
2 meetings a month.
so about 60 to 75, right?
You know, I'm gonna have to.
That's all right.
I could ask,
It's still real
Paul
relevant.
Perlman, who's here, and, okay.
Let me, I feel ignorant about this. So if I feel I want to find the information out from Dave Yacarino, I want to get my information. Do I go to the commission first? How does it, what is the process?
You
And I
wanna get
apologize, I don't know the process.
You want to get information
Yeah.
from who?
For myself, I'm using me as an example. I don't want, Representative Concepcion, say, I want to, you might, and I want to, I need to find some information. There has to be validity to that. I can't just randomly ask. You have to show some proof of evidence that why I want to see these records or why I want to see this information.
Do you mean?
Is there, what's the process? Do I
So
have
for
to
instance,
find,
if
do
you-
I have to show proof or something valid? I can't just pie in the sky. I want the records for the town of North Haven. There's got to be some validity to my ask.
Well, no, you have a right to ask to see public records
Yeah.
because they're the public's. So if I walked in and I said I wanted to see, I don't know, I think.
Okay.
One of the examples was, they needed records regarding, the park, the Dunkin' Donuts Park. They could get records regarding that. It's public record.
How long does that take?
That depends on the municipality and depends on what they budget for time. And that's one of the things that I know municipalities struggle with is they don't have the money and the time and the resources to budget a
Right.
single person to gather this information for the public. But that is the law. That is the law that's been created and you have to address it. So there is that balancing act, and it's good to hear from both individuals who are in government and individuals who are not in government about
You
requests. for
feel
records.
most people are legitimately asking for a legitimate reason why they need this information?
We
You don't know. You
we
don't.
don't probe into
Okay.
what is your reason. In fact,
I-
it wouldn't be
I'll-
fair for the town clerk to say, why are you asking for that, Attorney Egan? Why do you, and as a lawyer who's asked for records many times on behalf of clients,
Strike that
you're
question.
you're better off probably giving an answer, but you would be well within your right if you were a person that says, it's none of your business, sir. I
think-
would like to see the record. Thank you.
I agree with you, actually.
Yeah, but I'm.
I do agree with you. I'm just trying to flush it
But
out.
that
And then
wouldn't be that wouldn't be the right answer if you wanted to get the record in a nice way.
So I would think the commission doesn't have goals. The only goal would be to get the proper information and expose whatever information is relevant and important.
It's all records, right?
Okay. And then
Disclosure.
one last question. So for elected officials, I know people have asked, somebody got up in a meeting last week in North Haven and literally said I said something I never did. And then they record it, which I have no problem with it because I could defend myself. But I see that more and more often in politics, people get up or they send messages about somebody, which is they're not true or true. I would think more elected officials are being scrutinized, and I think that's a good thing in a sense. And you'll see those cases pop up from here to
Right.
from time to time.
Yes, I mean, I know it's difficult sometimes, especially if you're being falsely accused of something.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
Yeah.
I
It's
really
difficult.
appreciate your volunteering, because
I-
you are volunteering.
Uh,
I have family that used to live in West Hartford. I don't know if you know the Knapps at all. There's a Carol Knapp, and
Yes,
you knew Carol?
yeah, I think
He moved to Maine.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Anyway.
But thank you for your good
yeah,
questions and I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Good morning, Representative Godfrey.
I'm the 2017 recipient of the Bice Clemo Award. So
You are.
yes,
That's
and
wonderful. Congratulations.
that was a most interesting
Yes, it was.
event.
Yeah.
Lots of really good people interested in keeping public records public.
Right.
I've been around a while. My first foray into state government was as the committee clerk for the Government Administration and Policy Committee back in 1977, which was the first time that was the first okay, let's take a look at the FOIA that had been passed by Governor Grasso and championed by Governor Grasso
Right.
to start fixing and tightening up and redefining and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a very long hobby, avocation of mine, because I'm a sincere believer in that public records belong to the public. They don't belong to the bureaucracy. They don't belong to elected officials. They belong to the public.
Right.
And they have asked, and in fact, I also won the Distinguished Service Award from the FOIC in 2003. So I've been at this a while.
Wow.
And as Professor Yacarino alluded to, and I've been the subject of some of those vexatious, because my transparency, kind of my second prior to my first one, is gun responsibility. And you can imagine the attention that being an advocate for those kinds of laws engenders. And I've had my calendar FOI'd, and that took some time, because obviously it's my calendar. Not everything on my calendar is a public record. The public
Right.
meetings are,
Right.
my dentist appointments are not.
Right.
So I had to, spend some time with an attorney to redact the personal stuff. I had on a number of the complaints by a vexatious individual resulted in having to work with an assistant attorney general to kind of straighten out. So I've kind of seen both sides of it. And I've also worked, but this is so long ago, with Mitch Perlman, the original executive director.
Wow.
Because we had long talks, because transparency is kind of one side of a coin, the other side of which is privacy. And because it had come up in a discussion I had, okay, I'm getting communications back then on paper, now by email, people looking for help with a state agency that discloses things like their medical conditions. And he and I worked it out, and there was actually a pronouncement by FOIC that no, those aren't public records. They're kind of extracurricular to the described job I have in the Constitution, which is basically to pass laws and consider them. So when I was interested in making sure that those kind of requests for help are private and belong to the constituent or the person asking for them. And it is a fine line. You've got to do the balancing act. I'm sure you do that at every meeting. And so I'm hoping what I can get some comments from you on, how do we continue to deal with that? What kind of tweaks we might need in the statutes to kind of do that balancing act between the public record and transparency and privacy by individuals for things like medical conditions and the like. Where do we need to go? Or are all of those things covered now?
First of all, I can sympathize with you about the FOI requests. Our agency gets FOI requests, so the FOI gets FOI requests for information.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it becomes burdensome and timely. Lawyers have to take time and go through information and make sure that everything that should be disclosed is disclosed and everything that shouldn't be disclosed is not. But along that line, privacy is very important in some areas, and we're very sensitive to that. So for instance, social security numbers and things of that nature, we're very, very sensitive to that and concerned about releasing that information. But in some instances, medical records are releasable, and a person's medical condition, whether they can serve, where they have to do something that's physical, is something that is available to the public, and the legislature has seen fit to allow that. Where the legislature has said it's not allowable, we're very sensitive to that, and we don't allow it. But I would leave the legislation to you and allow you to create any other laws that you think are necessary in order to increase privacy. But it's interesting that you've gone through it personally. I guess you all have gone through it, so you have that understanding. Whereas I think you're all advocates for transparency, but that abuse is not acceptable.
It's really kind of a part of the situation we're all wrestling with kind of the invasion of privacy through social media, for example.
Right.
Which is not the purview of FOIC, but it's two subjects that are really associated with each other. Keep government open, but keep personal information privacy. Even HIPAA protects
Right.
medical
Right.
records, for example, and doing that balancing act. And I have to compliment your staff.
They're the best.
I do meet with Colleen and Paula annually and as necessary and other times to protect the transparency. Bureaucrats don't like anybody to touch their stuff. It's just kind of one of those things endemic
I understand.
to bureaucrats, whether it's state or local level. And I also want to thank in our local elections. I'm from Danbury. Last year, government flipped, and for example, out of the 21-person city council, I think 18 of them were brand new.
Wow.
And I had contacted FOIC, and they sent down one of your training officers who spent an evening with all of the newly elected and some appointed officials going over what FOIA meant to them. And I think that the interesting part, balancing, because most of these people are volunteers, they're not paid, they're elected officials, but they're unpaid elected officials. So about what is and isn't private. And I think the surprise for many of them was the realization that what is and isn't
Right.
a public record.
Right.
You can't get my dentist appointments.
Right.
You can get my committee meetings.
Right.
If you want to know what happened at the committee meetings, I'm not the record keeper. The committee is, the committee clerk is, the Office of Legislative Management is. And making sure that that kind of information gets out is an important part, I think, of FOIC. And I really applaud the training that the commission does for elected officials. As we have our privacy invaded with our consent through social media,
Exactly.
more and more of this, I think, really needs to be discussed. And I'm so happy
Right.
that the commission and your very crack staff continues to do that. So thank you very much for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I have to agree with you. Our staff is the best. There's no one that's better than them. Colleen and Paula are wonderful. They do a great job. So, and the training is something that we would recommend for any municipality, any state agency. It's offered, it's free. And sometimes we order training when we think that people just, they can use it. And that's very helpful, as you said. A lot of it is how information is requested, to go back to what Representative Yacarino was saying. If you treat people with respect and you treat them with dignity, you can, as you, the recipient of the request, can often find out exactly what are you looking for, sir? What are you looking for, ma'am? Let me see if I can guide you, and we can narrow the scope of this. And then people feel, okay, I'm being listened to. I really only need this chunk of information, and they can in some ways get it more quickly. And here it is. Here's what you need, and we'll bring it right to you. But a lot of it is just treating people with respect in any event. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Just looking online. Seeing none. Judge, we have one last question that we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past you believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
There's nothing in my past that would be embarrassing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you spending your morning with us.
Thank you, and thank you for all the good questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, moving right along, I will make a quick note. The first two items are actually House resolutions. So the one we with Judge Owen, Judge Egan was a House resolution. So moving on to item number two, which is another House resolution for review. This is the nomination of Judith Ganswith of Old Saybrook to be appointed as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Good morning. If you can raise your right hand. Oh, yep. You can raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. The floor is yours for any opening comments.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Concepcion, Duff, Vice Chairs Godfrey, Looney, Ranking Members Iacarino, Kelly, and distinguished members of the Executive and Legislative Nominations Committee. My name is Judy Ganswin, and I'm honored to be nominated to serve on the Connecticut Freedom of Information Commission. I've been a resident of the state of Connecticut for over 40 years, in which time I raised my family, started my business, lobbied, and served in several positions within the town of Old Saybrook. I'm committed to my state continuing to be a place where people do want to live, raise families, and start businesses. Connecticut is a small but mighty state, and I believe in transparency and access to public records, public meetings, and other sources of public information to our citizens. I continue to participate as an active member of Old Saybrook's town committees and community groups. I've spent many years lobbying on issues at the state capitol. While lobbying, I represented the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association. Working with the police chiefs and representing them highlighted the importance of FOIA. The police are here to serve and protect the public, which is a very important role within our society. It is a big responsibility to balance what information is released in FOIA and what needs to be held back to protect the public as well as officers. These positions and experience provide me with firsthand knowledge of the importance of public information and public meetings, and how it is imperative for the FOIC to review both sides of each case and ensure that law is followed. Information is power, and knowing the source of decisions and views on all sides clarifies how and why leaders make the decisions they do. Additionally, it is important to provide information that is and can be public. FOIA is a tool that we have been provided that shows how amazing our state and country is. But as with any tool, it's important for tools to be used for the purpose they were created. I'm honored to be part of this commission, which is empowered to exercise specified grants of authority for the administration of statutes that provide access to public records, public meetings, and other sources of public information as set forth in the Freedom of Information Act. This is a very important role, and I will ensure that I uphold the dignity of the commission. I am grateful for the opportunity to appear before you today and provide testimony to support my nomination to the Connecticut Freedom of Information Commission. If approved, it will be an honor for me to serve, and I welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your nomination.
excited.
Is this a new nomination? How long have you
Yes.
served?
I actually just started back in November. I'm very wet behind the ears, very brand new, learning everything from the members, from Colleen, from Paula, from the judge, everyone on the commission, because none of us, until you actually ever get your first docket in the mail and it comes, and then you're looking at it line and learning all about it and seeing what amazing attorneys we have that have already done the interviews before and giving their reasons, and then showing up at the commission, and more of the commissioners that are more qualified than I am. It's been gratifying to be on.
That's great to hear. And as I mentioned to Judge Egan, I think it's important that we have the diversity of professions that make up the commission. And I think your experience and background is invaluable. Can you talk a little bit about your work with the kind of the police chiefs? Did you deal with FOI, the commission
we-
before?
The, when you are up here, as far as being as doing lobbying, you're not in the different police offices. But what we would hear is all of the legislation. When the police cameras came, how were they going to store it? How were they going to have an officer look at it and redact it? I know some of that background just because I was here when legislation was being formed. So that gives me, and then I've also on boards and commissions. I mean, we were just talking about, you know, every town has gadflies and people that just have a good time doing that, or people that legitimately have gone and asked for information and the municipality is dragging their feet. So I may not come with all the legal background, but I think a lot of the practical or actually being here when laws were being passed.
Kind of unrelated. Do you still own the antique store?
I actually don't own my center, but I do help out there.
Okay,
A
that's
woman
great.
took it over. Yeah, I
Yep.
finally decided I couldn't do everything.
Of course. Yeah, that's important. You know, I might have another question or so, but I'll open it up to my committee members. But again, congratulations and on your nomination. Representative Yacarino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations. Were you looking to join this important commission?
You know, it was interesting because I had a good friend, Lenny Winkler, who had been appointed by the governor, and she, right from it, I didn't know that much about it, but when we'd be get together socially, she always talked about how interesting it was and how much she enjoyed it. And then she had made the decision after 9 years that that she was going to retire. And she said, "Would you have any interest?" I said, "Well, from everything you've said, I would love if I, you know, the governor would appoint me. I'd like to go down that path." And so it took a while, but I'm finally here.
Oh, well, congratulations. Do you have anything, like any goals for yourself in the commission? Or just use the evidence you see, the information you see, and just get to the bottom of it?
Yeah, I would say each and every person that comes before us, you might start off with one way of thinking, but I've watched how the committee itself has dug in deeper when they're before us. And we might come up with a different idea after hearing them because you're reading it. And then the person does come before you. The complaint is there and we can ask questions. So I think it's an important role that we actually get a chance to ask questions.
Well, that's, you know, what's funny, when I first got elected, I thought one way, but you start listening to others, the other side, or other people, or people testifying. And you should be able to change your mind, or at least say, let's
Yes.
see what the evidence is. So I think your experience up here will serve you and the public well. I do have one last question, and I apologize. So you get the evidence in front of you. There's potentially, you have to look at the evidence before you make a decision. Somebody could be want some false information, or there's information actually vindicates something or somebody. I know you've only been there since November, but I would think eventually you'll see cases where they evolve and you have a different outcome, or it's just the evidence and that's it.
No, I've already started to see that. I mean, we've had, you know, cases come and they do evolve. We've had somebody come and then because of the information that we received at the hearing, we actually asked for them to come back again. So it's not cut and dried, and they're all very thoughtful. And as I said, it fascinates me on how many different people are requesting information from the municipalities.
Yeah, the Board of Eds especially, it seems like in our town. But I thank you for serving. I think you'll do well. The governor made a good choice.
Thank you.
And and I think it's a very important commission. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee members? And let me just check in Zoom world. Seeing none. Yeah, if you can, before you go, there's one question we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past I believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
No.
Well, congratulations again. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
for spending some time with us this morning. Moving right along. Next item on the agenda is, these are now two Senate resolutions for review. The first one being Catherine O'Farish of Tallinn to be appointed as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Good morning. If you can raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Concepcion, Vice Chairs Looney and Godfrey, Ranking Members Jacarino and Kelly, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Kate Farish, and I am honored to be nominated for the position of Commissioner on the Freedom of Information Commission. Thank you to Governor Lamont for appointing me last August to fill a vacancy, and now for nominating me for a full term. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, if you don't mind. I'm a lifelong resident of Northeastern Connecticut who has worked as a journalist for 40 years in the state. I've been interested in journalism and the public's right to know about government action since I would race home from school to watch the Watergate hearings as a teenager. I learned how to be a reporter at the University of Connecticut's journalism department. And a few months after graduation, I was lucky enough to get hired as a reporter at the Hartford Courant. I spent 23 years there, 13 as a reporter, and then I rose to positions including the Eastern Connecticut Bureau Chief, Education Editor, and the City Editor. My reporters and I made frequent use of the FOI law to gain access to public meetings and public records. I really believe the law is crucial because government transparency is essential in our democracy so that we have informed voters. And happily, that's also one of the most important roles of journalism as well. At the Courant, I won state and national journalism awards and was editor of the year in 2000. As a freelance writer for the nonprofit Connecticut Health Investigative Team, or CHIT, I won a 2018 award from the New England Newspaper and Press Association for a story on nurses and addiction. That story grew directly out of my coverage every month of the Board of Examiners for Nursing. After leaving the Courant in 2009, I discovered a new passion, which is teaching journalism. I taught at my alma mater for a decade before earning a master's degree in digital communications from Syracuse in 2018. And that enabled me to land my current job, which is as a full-time assistant professor of journalism at Central Connecticut State University. I've been there since 2019. I teach introduction to journalism, news writing, and reporting and editing. I also serve on the Faculty Senate and on the Library Committee. And I am co-advisor of the student chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists. I've also published 2 research papers, one on social media messaging and one on the journalistic mindset about ethics. I love preparing students for jobs in my field, teaching them how to find, report, and write stories while following the ethical guidelines of accuracy, sensitivity, and fairness. Community service is important to me. In my town of Tallinn, I'm a longtime volunteer with the Tallinn Historical Society and the Tallinn Public Library Foundation. And in June, I was proud to become president of the Connecticut Foundation for Open Government, or CFOG. Its mission is to educate the public about the importance of government transparency and really teach people how to use the FOI Act. Since joining the commission in September, I would say I've diligently prepared for every meeting and acted fairly in all matters before us. While I have a deep interest in government transparency, I am impartial when considering the oral and written arguments before us. And really try to look at both sides as well as the hearing officers' reports. Though I've been teaching the FOI Act for 14 years, I still feel like I'm learning more nuances at every meeting I go to. I have enormous respect for Chairman Egan, the commission, and its hardworking lawyers and staff. So really with fairness in mind, I've been trying to balance the request of the complainants and the need for government transparency against the constraints that the public agencies and public officials face, as well as carefully following the law, looking at these exemptions that are allowed under the law. If approved, I pledge to keep considering equally the needs of all the people who come before the commission, no matter whether they are journalists, state or local officials, or members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I hope to continue serving my state on the commission.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farish.
you.
Congratulations on your nomination. I think it's safe to say that your experience and background is perfectly situated for this type of work. So congratulations
Thank you.
on that. Although you don't meet too many Huskies and Orangemen. So
I
people that
know.
went to both UConn and Syracuse.
I know, I felt like a traitor when I was up at graduation and went to the bookstore. Do I dare buy anything?
And
Orange.
orange.
You know?
Well, I appreciate you not wearing orange this
I've been
for
wearing, I
today.
got my Central Blue
There,
jacket
then
on.
now we'll take, yeah, go Blue Devils, absolutely.
Yeah.
Question for you, since you were, your experience in the current, obviously you made some cases at FOI trying to get some information out.
Yep.
What was your experience with that? And were there things, some things you'd like to change now that you're kind of in the inner circle at this point?
Oh, that's interesting. The one and only time I had a complaint before the commission, I was probably only about 26. And at the time, to save money on lawyers, the current would just send us on our own to do our hearings. And I have to say, I went up against an assistant attorney general and did not do well and lost at my only hearing. So my experience has more been using the act to gain public records. And like I said, only one time in 40 years actually had a case of my own. But I think seeing it from that side, even though that was a long time ago, makes me kind of impressed with the people who have been persistent trying to get records and who are using our system to try to kind of have their day in court before us. And it's very interesting. A lot of them are inmates. A lot of them are just average residents who trying to get information about the zoning of their property. So in just a short time, I've been impressed with the complainants, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that leads into my second question, which is, you've served since September, and
Yeah.
it seems like my question was going to be, what has surprised you over the last, 6 months or so that
Yeah.
you've served? But it seems like one of the surprises are the individuals that are actually coming up front and
Yeah.
requesting the information.
Yeah, I have to say I'm somewhat surprised I have not seen a journalist yet come before us. And unfortunately, it may be a symptom of the cutbacks in my industry, where fewer reporters are covering towns or state agencies, fewer reporters and editors feel maybe they have the time to devote to pursuing an FOI complaint. I'd like to see more journalists there using it, to be honest. I have been surprised at how many inmates use it. That's interesting to me. And they come to us on the phone, obviously. They're not allowed out of prison to come.
It's very interesting, and I'm glad that is happening.
Yeah.
And maybe this is, again, kind of an unfair question to you, but maybe I'll just follow up with Judge Egan since he's been there for so long. Is
Yeah.
there a process in which, we'll take inmates, are communicated with the fact that they can actually use this commission for their own self-purpose?
Yeah, I'm not sure
You're
about
not sure?
that part of education. I don't know what.
Nope, and it's okay. We can
Judge Egan,
take that
I can get
offline,
back
but
to you on that.
just
but-
curious on, you know, what the commission does to again, get the communication out that this is a resource. It could be a resource, you know, as we
Mhm.
all talked about, used properly, to get factual information out and, you know,
Yeah.
obviously transparency is important. So just curious. No worries.
Yeah, I
on that.
don't know about the inmates, sorry.
No,
But
no.
I do know Russell Blair is a former current reporter who's the new education and public relations coordinator. He replaced Tom Hennick. He's the one who goes out. Maybe he was the one who came to your town and did the training. And so I think they're open to training anyone, you know, who's interested.
Well, that's great to hear. Again, congratulations on your nomination. Very, very happy
Thank you.
that you will be part of the commission. I will open it up to committee members, starting with Representative Yakarino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, and
Thank
you
you.
have a wealth of experience and knowledge. I do want to, with your experience and knowledge as a reporter,
Yep.
you'll be looking at information. Are you tempted to go beyond that information that's in front of you? As a reporter, you always, I think of Woodward and Bernstein or Patsy Graham and Ben Bradley with Watergate.
They're my
Actually,
heroes. Yeah.
Good thing they did that, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
And because you want the truth, and without that digging, you don't get the
Sure.
truth.
Do you mean as a commissioner
Yeah,
now? Oh, okay, as a commissioner now. There have been times where I've, during the meetings, asked questions. Not very often since it's only been since September, but I am very mindful that we have to stick to the record before us. We have a hearing, we have a hearing officer's report. Those reports are always very thorough. And then if people want to, they have 10 minutes to argue before the commission as well, both the complainant and the respondents. And I think we do have to stick to that record. So maybe I turn the reporter off there,
That's
maybe ask a few
That's actually good. That's
questions.
what I was hoping.
but
it's-
not do my own
No,
investigation.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate that. I think That's the right thing to do, but it's probably a little difficult, but you'll get used to it. You've done
Yeah.
a lot of good things, I think.
yeah.
So one last question for the inmates. So I don't know what, it's the right what they're looking for. But if they're looking at, say, a lawyer or an officer or anybody, do they know that they're getting FOI, freedom of information toward that person? Say that I'm in the prison and I want to say, Julio Concepcion, I want to find out information about Julio. Will he know that I'm looking at for his digging?
I guess I don't really know. It would depend on the agency and or the municipality or the police department as to how they handle that internally. I can't say I know for sure.
But eventually I would think if it did have merit, it would come in front of your commission and then they would know.
We've had cases where, say, the first selectman of a town came with their town attorney. The first selectman was very clear what records were being sought, and in some cases, they had informed employees, so-and-so has asked to see your personnel records. It seems like that happens in towns and state agencies. I can't speak for the
I would hope
prisons.
somebody, you would know that somebody's looking at your records. That's all.
Just in the few cases I've seen since September, people seem to be informing employees if someone's requesting information about them. I don't know how the police departments handle it with an inmate request.
I believe transparency should be everywhere. So I would hope we have that, but I think you're going to do terrific. I think
Thank
you
you.
have your wealth of experience as a reporter and working, in various fields. You're going to do well teaching. So
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Seeing none, we do have one last question that we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past that you believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
No, not at all.
Thank you very much and congratulations. Thanks for spending
Thanks for your time.
some time with us this morning. All right, last, but certainly not least, is the final Senate resolution for review, which is the the reappointment, of Stephen Fuzesi of Greenwich to be reappointed as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Good afternoon.
Best pronunciation of my name in a long time.
With a name like Concepcion, you learn a few tricks. If you can just
I
raise your
spent a
right,
lot of time in New Haven.
there you go. If you could raise your right hand. Do you promise, swear, and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Wonderful. Floor is yours.
Thank you. So it's always tough to be right between lunch. And, yeah. So I'll recognize that constraint. Yeah. So anyway, I'm honored to follow. First, I want to say Chairman Duff, who's sort of here, Concepcion, Vice Chair Godfrey, and Ranking Member Yacarino. That's nice to see. We got a core group here, good core group. I'm honored to be renominated by Governor Lamont. This would be my second term. And I appear before you just to reintroduce myself a little bit. I came to the U.S. at the age of 8 as a refugee after the defeat of the Hungarian Revolution of 1956 by Soviet forces. We moved to Hamden shortly thereafter, where I was welcomed in the spirit and the reality of Connecticut values, American democratic values. Our family soon became proud, naturalized citizens after taking the oath here in Hartford at the district court. My parents' sacrifice made it possible for me to live in our democratic society and to share in its promise. A fundamental pillar of that promise is open government, free speech, free press, and an engaged public. My first job after graduating from college before going to law school was as a reporter at New Haven Register. I have lived and worked in 3 of Connecticut's 8 counties. From 1994 to 2010, I was the chief counsel of Newsweek, then owned by the Washington Post Company, and I was involved in all its print and then its electronic media operations in the US and globally. And thereafter, I taught a university policy seminar at various universities called All the News That's Fit to Post. And one of those was Wesleyan University here, which was particularly special for me because it was here in Connecticut. I have served on the board and as vice chair since 2017 of the Statewide Institute for Refugees and Immigrants, SIRI, headquartered in Bridgeport. For years, I taught courses at Stanford Ferguson Library for immigrants and refugees preparing for the civics test, which is the last step to naturalization. The mandate, I think, of the FOIC is to robustly advance the guarantees set forth in our Connecticut law for access to public reports and public access to meetings. Much of my service was during our COVID years. And I'm proud, this is partly in response to a question you had, I'm proud of how the FOIC and our state and local governments responded to that unprecedented challenge, enhanced by new electronic tools, but continuing to govern openly and with broad citizen engagement. So while that was a very special time, I'm very proud of the way our commission and indeed our whole state continued the emphasis on public engagement and openness under those circumstances. Looking forward, one of the challenges we face together, I think, is innovating in the fast pace of electronic communication and document generation, document storage, and document searching. I see that Representative Godfrey is here, and he is, I think, on the General Law Committee, which maybe not, but the General Law Committee just had an interesting experience a couple of days ago with AI and testimony generated by AI. So I assure you, my testimony, to my knowledge, was not generated by AI. But we will likely see more and more of that. Actual testimony, real testimony, but either fully generated or significantly assisted by AI. So artificial intelligence, I think, presents a leading edge of the challenges we face, both at the FOIC and at you as legislators. So I am intrigued and encouraged by the significant debate of Senate Bill 2 that has begun. And I think it's going to be, Connecticut will be at the forefront of confronting this challenge of how to regulate AI, but also keep, I hope as a advocate of free information and free flow of information, the recognition in that legislation as it evolves of the need for public access, but public access which is capable to see through the impact of AI or to use AI in document search and generation. So that is all a new interest and important to me. Secondly, promptness of public records being made available to the public is, I believe, critical. Stale information is not very actionable or very useful. So I was very thankful and encouraged by the passage of Senate Bill 1221 last year, which increased some of the FOIC's powers to enforce and encourage by increased penalties and by other methodologies to encourage prompter response by public agencies to information. And and also last year, there was an increase in the funding to the FOIC because, of course, we are also have to react promptly to the information once we receive it. So I believe, and I'm looking forward to continue to be on the commission as one of the people who's focused on this concept of promptness, both at the local level, but also within the FOIC and our wonderful staff, but keep a little bit of heat, a little bit of pressure on promptness. And then thirdly, I'm focused on the importance of education, the education role of the FOIC, which is mandated in the statute. But I think with so much change and so much opportunity, but so much education is a key part of our responsibility to train, but also to reach out and work with public agencies and individuals across the economic and all branches, all parts of Connecticut, to engage and teach and welcome, but also to teach about the law and about the resources. So in summary, I continue to be dedicated to the high personal standards of fairness, reasoned and balanced judgment, and informed advocacy, to the enforcement of our Connecticut laws to preserve and advance our state's long tradition and commitment of open government being a foundational value of how we govern here in Connecticut. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions, but don't feel like you have to ask it right before lunch.
No, thank you very much, and congratulations on your reappointment. And thanks for mentioning AI. I think that's something that's going to be critical for us up here, in the near future. And the fact, sometimes people just don't think that it affects the commission, like freedom of information. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm certain we will be working together to ensure that we're doing everything properly on our end. One of the great things about going last is that a lot of my questions have already been answered. So again, I'll really just open it up, and I appreciate you being here, and congratulations. Oh no, I will ask one question similar to what I asked Ms. Farish, which is, you've been there since 2019. Is there anything that's surprised you in the functionalities of the commission?
Well, I will somewhat repeat what I have been a little bit surprised by the active involvement of prisoners in the state of Connecticut, who many of them devote a lot of effort and time to legal education while they're and to pursuing their cases, and how actively they put well-reasoned, well-articulated, sometimes represented, most of the time not represented, requests to the commission, trying, I think, honestly, to enhance their cases, trying to find information is still important to their cases. And in my experience, I believe our system has facilitated that and helped provide the facilities and the resources for them to pursue preparation and to interact with them. So that probably is, and to be very honest, what has been a little bit of a disappointment to me actually and I'm watching it very carefully after COVID, or now that we're coming out of the cloud of COVID, is this promptness issue. How long it so often takes from the time somebody puts in a request to when it's, if it has to go to the commission, that they actually receive. It's a long, long time. And that's not a good situation. And it partly relates back to, you know, what you asked, the volume of requests that come in and the process. And it partly relates to a lot of other factors. So I believe we have to keep an open but critical eye on this issue of promptness, because stale information is not really very useful information often. And the time periods are quite long. And there's a lot of steps to keeping the time from original request, denial, and then actually going through a process and getting documents. It's been lengthening.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for bringing that up. I'll open it up to my colleagues, starting with Representative Yakarino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it's, as Mr. Chair, I don't have many questions,
Sure.
but I do sit on general law, and we had the AI public hearing, and it's a little daunting because it could be used in really positive ways, but it also could be used in negative ways potentially. And do you have any fears for the commission that somebody does something negatively with it?
I have,
We don't know that yet.
but I think one of the fears is how to keep an open mind during the passage of this legislation on this issue of public access to, because so much of document analysis within decision-making and so much of document storage and will be impacted by AI. And we can make positive moves there or not, but I think it's important to keep transparency and access to this newly AI impacted, keep focus on what AI is good for and bad for and its dangers. But from an information perspective, it's going to tremendously over time affect how information is collected, how it's analyzed by public agencies, and how it can be searched and found. So that I advocate keeping an eye on that transparency aspect of the legislation as well as the other, perhaps initially more, apparently would appear to be more dramatic and important.
No, that's the goal, and I think that's going to be the goal with many of the companies and also government, the role of government. I don't have any more questions, but it's interesting. I have a good friend of mine, Kathy, who's older now. Her mother, her sister, and herself fled Hungary in 1956, and they had a restaurant in New Haven. Her husband just passed 2 years ago. Good friend of mine, but they made a wonderful life here. But what I'm seeing now in I spoke at North Haven High yesterday.
Yes.
To a group of students, and what I'm seeing in Eastern Europe is so. I never thought, I wasn't born then in 56, but I never thought I would see what's happening. And I know it's not part of this committee, but
We need to go to the Foreign Affairs Committee.
No, I know.
Part of the-
I give you.
But
your
I am
family a lot of
disappointed to some degree of what's happening in Hungary, my old country.
Yeah,
So,
It's-
you know,
it's all
so
messed up.
I'd love to have it off,
We
but,
should, because it's a mess.
but I'm very proud of other Hungarians and others who've, become
Kathy,
integrated in America's life and Hungary's original steps after 1990, being the first country in the EU from Central Europe, first member of NATO after, and then things. But let's keep an eye on Ukraine
Right.
and not lose Ukraine.
Exactly. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
Representative Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unlike Representative Vaccarino, I am old enough to remember the Hungarian Revolution, and we're of an age. I was about 8 when but it was happening also, and that could not have been easy for you and your family. So it was, that's when Russia was actually a enemy of the United States. Things have changed, not for the better, and I probably agree with doing a lot of that stuff, but that's kind of outside the purview of this particular committee. I like your use of the word robust in describing your activities as someone who is enforcing transparency and open government. And it's interesting, you raised the issue of AI. A couple of my colleagues have commented on that. Legislatures are by design reactive. We don't initiate so much as that something happens and we have to deal with it. And that goes right back to, the 1787 Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, which was a reaction to Shays' Rebellion in nearby Massachusetts. and so it's kind of built in. It's the executive branch that we count on. It's agencies in the executive branch like yours that we count on. And I do have trouble wrapping my head around the whole AI issue. How does it work? Why does it work? And how does that affect negatively or positively people's access to government information that belongs to them? I'm one of those people who, if you have, you know, a hierarchical chart of government, the top isn't governor, the top isn't speaker, the top is the people, and everything flows from them. It says so right in the Constitution, or two that I'm aware of. And it's their information. So not only do I like the robust part and your help trying to deal with AI, and I really need to commend the commission for getting us through the pandemic. It's still out there. It's not a pandemic anymore. It's an epidemic, but people are still getting sick and dying of it. And it has changed the way government operates, I think, for the better. Certainly here, we're doing it right now. You can access us and follow this on Zoom. And certainly we're also on CTN right now, which is about to celebrate a major birthday next Sunday. So the help of the commission on trying to deal with these emerging issues, I think, is very important. I hope you all are part of that. And I'm hoping, I couldn't agree with you more on raising the issue of promptness. I'm a lawyer. Justice delayed is justice denied. Well, information delayed is information denied. And there have been a couple of cases I know that the commission has been wrestling with, where information from municipalities, it's been 6-8 months and they still haven't gotten the information out. So I'm hoping we can help with any issues that you and the commission, and as I said, your very good staff and your training officers especially, I'm very grateful to them. So I'm happy. So you're in your second term. So you've had, maybe you can answer this. If you can't, that's okay. Several people have mentioned this, the FOIing by inmates. What are they usually looking for? Could you characterize it?
I'm looking for information that may help their existing cases, trying to get police records.
Okay.
Old police, and sometimes they're very old records. But I believe they're actually often believe that those records would be important and help to them. So on a personal level, and I have just listening to it, I believe it's a very important part of their life in prison.
Yeah.
Doing research, thinking, it enriches, whether or not they get the information, I think it's a positive part of their life. Participating in the legal process, searching the legal process. So that's very important.
I was really curious. I had no idea.
So back to AI for a second.
Sure.
I would like to make a pitch because you mentioned Colleen and Paula. They did an excellent memo just February 27th on looking at Senate Bill 2 from the FOIC.
Yes.
Transparency. So if you don't have it, I'm going to ask Paula if he's still here to make sure you and
Colleen and
because
Paula,
it addresses that issue that I just touched upon, but it addresses
Colleen and
that
Paul and I
aspect
do
of Senate
sit
Bill
down
2.
annually for a comprehensive meeting, and then we're in constant touch.
You mentioned that. That's
Because one of the biggest problems I confront here is people sneaking in provisions in other bills. So we have to ferret them out, and they and I go back and forth. Hey, did you know that so and so's got such and such a thing? So thank you very much for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been nice to have this little opportunity to engage on some policy issues and to
Yes.
reintroduce ourselves.
Oh, yes.
To see Senator Duff from Norwalk, where my wife has been a social worker for 30 years. So I have fondness for Norwalk too, and I have my own little.
He's a good guy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chairman Duff.
Thank you. I just wanted to say hello and it's great to have you here. I remember we had you here a few years ago and thank you for your service. Love your
And I provide
family.
your questions. you-
Love your family. My mom says hi. And my mother, who I know will be listening at some point, says hello. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Just check Zoom real quick. Seeing none, one last question that we ask of every nominee. Is there anything in your past that you believe might prove embarrassing to this committee, to the governor, to the state of Connecticut?
I'm gonna answer serious. I've been thinking and thinking because I know you kept asking that question. I can't find anything.
Oh, well, that's a good thing. That's a
I'm
good thing.
trying.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Unless I did something here today.
No, not at all. Well, appreciate. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
spending the
much.
morning and early afternoon with us today. All right. So with no other agenda items on the public hearing side, we will adjourn the public hearing portion of the meeting and go straight into the committee meeting. All right, so with that, I will officially open the executive and nomination committee meeting for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024 to order. We have 4 items on the agenda. The first is the reappointment of the Honorable Owen P. First one's a House resolution. Pretty sure that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, these are backwards. Yeah. So the first one's a House resolution, which is the reappointment of Owen P. Egan of West Hartford to be a member and chairperson of the Freedom of Information Commission. Is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by Representative Godfrey. Is there a second? Second by Representative Yakarino. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Representative Concepcion.
Yes.
Representative Godfrey.
Yes.
Representative Yakarino. Representative D'Agostino. Representative Figueroa.
Representative Figueroa votes yes. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Representative Gresco. Representative Nuccio. Representative Perillo. Representative Quinn.
Representative Quinn votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Vertigliano. Representative Sanchez. That's roll.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and we will hold the votes open to through 3 p.m. today. We're going to skip around a little bit, but go straight to the Senate resolutions for review. The first one being the appointment of Catherine O. Farish of Tolland to be a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Is there a motion? Motion made by Chairman Duff, seconded by Senator Martin. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Duff.
Yes.
Senator Looney. Senator Kelly. Senator Fonfara. Senator Hartley. Senator Kushner. Senator Martin. Senator Moore. Senator Summers. That's the roll.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next one is another Senate resolution for review, the reappointment of Stephen Fuzesi of Greenwich, Jr. of Greenwich to be reappointed as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Is there a motion? Motion made by Senator Martin, seconded by Chairman Duff. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, was that one of the backwards ones? Is it House or Senate?
This is the Senate resolution for Stephen Fuzesi.
Senator Duff. Senator Looney. Senator Kelly. Senator Fonfara. Senator Hartley. Senator Kushner. Senator Martin. Senator Moore. Senator Summers. That's a roll.
Thank you very much. Going back up, and last item will be another House resolution for review. This is the appointment of Judith Ganswint of Old Saybrook as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Representative Yakarino, second by Representative Godfrey. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Concepcion,
Yes.
Representative Godfrey,
Yes.
Representative Yakarino. Representative D'Agostino. Representative Figueroa. Representative Figueroa. Representative Gresco. Representative Nuccio. Representative Carrillo. Representative Quinn.
Representative Quinn votes yes.
Thank you. Representative Retigliano. Representative Sanchez. That's your roll, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With no other item on the agenda, our next meeting will be scheduled for next Tuesday, March 12th. Same room, same Zoom channel. And with that, we will be in recess till 3 p.m.
That's got the boot camp.
Hi, Senator.
How you doing?
Let me just unmute myself. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, awesome. Feel free to. Doing that. Excellent. Again. Owen Egan of West Hartford to be reappointed as member and chair of the FOI committee.
Senator Kelly votes yes.
And one more. Stephen Fusezi of Greenwich. Sorry. To be reappointed as member of the FOI commission.
I think the Senate is Judith Ganswin.
That was a mistake on the agenda.
Okay, so then it's Stephen Fuzezi.
Yes.
Okay, Senator Kelly votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing that. Could be the YouTube volume. The YouTube or the Big Cheryl saying I wasn't recording in the cloud. Fudge. Yep.
Hi, Wendy. Hello, Wendy.
Hi, Representative, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Let me see, I might have made it so that I can't hear you. Hold on one second. I have for you Owen Egan to be a member and chair of FOIC.
Yes.
And Catherine Farish of Tolland to be a member of the FOIC.
Yes.
Awesome. You're all set.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, here.
Hello, Wendy. Or Lindsay.
Hi, Representative.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Hold on, because I can barely hear
Hold
you.
on, let me just see if I can turn the volume up.
Okay, I'll try to hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I have for you Owen Egan to be a member and chair of the Freedom of Information Commission.
Yes.
And Stephen Fusezi of Greenwich to be reappointed as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission.
Yes.
That's it. All set.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Oh, wait a second. Skip that. Sorry, that was a Senate one. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought there were 4.
Judith Gamswent. Judith Gamswent to be a member of the FOIC.
Right. Yes.
Yes?
We're done?
Okay, that's it. That was the
Okay.
last one.
Okay, thank you.
All done. I can't figure this out. Can you hear me on your computer? Can you hear me on your computer? Awesome. Can you hear me on your computer? Perfect. Yay. Okay. Okay.
Done with it.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Senator. Wendy just stepped out real quick to go to the bathroom.
Okay. So I'm here to vote.
I think there's just two.
2 yes.
Hi.
2.
Hi, Senator. Wendy just stepped out real quick to go to the bathroom.
Okay, yes. So I'm here to vote.
I think there's just two.
2 yes.
Hi. Hi, Senator. Wendy just stepped out real quick to go to the
There's
bathroom.
something weird going on. Should I log off and come back in?
I'm here to vote. Two. Hi.
It keeps repeating me. Can you hear me?
I'm wondering if the sound will
Yeah.
be better on my computer.
Yeah, I think you had to do that. You had 2 open in the same space.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it.
Okay.
But okay, so the Senate resolutions are Farish and Buzezi.
Senator Kushner votes yes on both.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too.
Maybe? Is this still upcoming? Hello?
You know, at the same time and have it not be weird. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? It sounds normal now.
Hello. Hello. Still repeating?
Hi, Rep Fresco.
Wendy Fritz, this is your conscience.
Oh, then I'm in trouble. My computer is acting totally crazy.
Oh,
I have Catherine Farish of Tolland. See, that one's repeating. I'm having trouble with my computer that it's repeating everything I say. So I'm
Really?
on Lindsay.
Really? Really?
Catherine
Really?
Farish to be appointed
Really?
as a member of the Freedom of Information Commission.
Yes,
Yes?
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's only one more. Judith Gamswint to be a member of the Freedom of Information Commission.
Yes,
That's it. Easy.
great. Hopefully I wasn't the last one.
What time is it? No, I don't think you will be.
All right. Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks so much.
Good seeing you.
Take care. I think Yes. The other one.
Also, yes.
Catherine Farish.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
You guys have a great day.
You
I
too.
appreciate it very much.
Thanks for visiting.
Oh, so nice to be back.
No, that's not me. It's, Sezzi and Farish, yeah. I'll just take your Farish and I'll put it on the sheet. Everybody is for Freedom of Information Commission.
Okay.
So I have, Stephen Fusezzi, he's a reappoint,
Yes.
and the other one is, what did we just say? Farish? Catherine Farish.
Is she Senate?
She is Senate.
Okay, yes.
And I will mark that as soon as I
Yes.
locate my
Okay.
sheet.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
All right, take care.